from Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. FSN presents Cincinnati Reds baseball. The battle for first place tonight. It's the Reds against the Redbirds. Hi, hello, and welcome to Cincinnati, everybody. Along with the crafty left-hander Chris Welch, I'm George Grant. It's been a long time since a big series in August took place here in Cincinnati, and it's fun, Chris.
You can feel the excitement, can't you? There'll be a lot of people at this ballpark tonight. They will be rocking. They'll be looking for some Reds runs and maybe a Reds victory, too.
Well, so far this year, the Reds have gotten the best of the Redbirds, winning 6 of the 8 games. Take a look at the numbers, and they'll tell you why. The Reds have pitched better and hit better during those 8 games.
Well, this is just one of those years where the Cardinals are just not being the typical St. Louis Cardinals. 6-2 the Reds are. They're batting average 40 points higher than the Cardinals. They're scoring more runs or even hitting with runners in scoring position. But we have seen this Reds ball club, George, being a hot ball club and a very cold ball club. Let's hope that the Reds are getting hot just at the right time.
You know, when the Reds have won, it's been good pitching, and the Cardinals 5 of the last 6 years have been in first place in the Central Division. Usually it's been pitching that's gotten them there. Take a look at our G pitching matchup for tonight. 2 guys who will figure prominently in the final 2 months.
Well, there's no question about that. And Elizardo Ramirez has handled himself pretty well this year over 17 starts. After all, you still have to consider Elizardo as a rookie. Last 6 starts, even though his earned run average is up there, he lost for the first time in his last 7, his last time out. Jeff Weaver, boy, put it bluntly, this guy used to be the ace of the staff in Detroit. He's been stinking it up lately, especially here in a Cardinal uniform. 1-2 with an 8+ earned run average. This guy simply has not figured out a way to get left-handers out.
That's your beep G pitching matchup. One other pitching note: the Reds picked up Ryan Franklin, another reliever from the Phillies today. We'll tell you more about that as this bullpen continues to evolve. Coming up, it's the Reds and the Redbirds. Big-time baseball coming your way. The running game, will it be a factor here? One of the best in the business behind the plate for the St. Louis Cardinals, Yadi Molina. Reds and Redbirds next.
Welcome to Chris's Clubhouse. Tonight in the Clubhouse, we're going to talk about a catcher that changes the way you run the bases. His name is Yadi Molina. He's behind the plate tonight for the St. Louis Cardinals. And Mark Berry, third base coach, this guy can throw to all bases, and he likes to do that.
Yes, he can, and he's well respected around the league. You've got to respect the guy. He's got a great arm. He loves to pick the bases. He's very aggressive, and they have design plays where the first baseman comes in behind. They also have the one up the middle where the shortstop might come back after the pitch to throw you out. You've got to put him up there with Pudge Rodriguez. He was the same way. And what it does, going into a series, we talk to all our base runners as a reminder, hey, you better be ready to get back after the pitch clears the hitter because he is looking to back pick at will.
Well, you know, when you bring that up about worrying about the pickoffs, does that take some of the aggressiveness away from your better base runners?
Well, what it does, I think we still got to be aggressive on our primary leads, our secondary leads, but getting back to the base after the pitch has been thrown, you cannot get lazy out there. If they see you getting lazy, they're going to put that play on, and they've nabbed us a few times the past couple of years, and they've done it around the league. I think he's leading Major League Baseball right now, hands down, and he's very good, and you got to respect that.
Boy, don't get picked. You know, I've always heard the double play ball is the pitcher's best friend. I think if you're a St. Louis Cardinal, it might be Yadi Molina is your best friend. Don't get picked. I know a guy who's never been picked off. His name is George Grant. He's in the booth. He's got lineups in action when we return right here on FSN, Ohio.
Welcome back to Cincinnati. Reds and Redbirds ready to get going in the first of 4. These 2 teams will play each other 4 games here in Cincinnati, then 3 in St. Louis. So a total of 7 in the next 10 days. And these are the last time that these 2 teams will play each other during the regular season. So Jerry Narron knows the importance of it as his club starts tonight. 3.5 games back of St. Louis. And on the other side of it, there you see Ronnie Belliard, newly acquired from the Cleveland Indians. He's at the top of the order tonight, and Tony La Russa knows full well the importance of this for his club. These are 2 clubs, Chris, that have struggled. Neither has played great baseball, but they're both in a pennant race.
You're right about that, George, but sometimes you simply have years like that where somebody is not going to run away from the pack the way the St. Louis Cardinals did last year and in years past. I'll tell you what, Tony La Russa, Hal McRae, both of those gentlemen certainly know the magnitude of this particular series, especially given the fact that they will follow up again in St. Louis next week. It's all about posturing. It's all about getting your team focused and playing it inning by inning, and I think that's what's on the forefront of their minds.
There's Tony La Russa. Let's check his Rico starting lineup as we're ready to get going. Ronnie Belliard over from the Indians is at the top of the order. Chris Duncan will bat second, and Prince Albert Pujols for his career against the Reds, 28 homers, most of any opponent. He's killed the Reds throughout his career. Scott Rowland hits behind him. Jim Edmonds, who's on a bounce back after a slow middle of the season. Encarnacion, Molina, Miles, and Weaver. That's 1 through 9, your Rico starting lineup. And here's the Reds right-hander ready to get it going. Easy, Elizardo Ramirez.
He makes it look easy when he's on. There's no question about that. He did not make it look very easy his last time out. That was against the surging Los Angeles Dodgers. He went 4 2/3 innings of 5 earned run baseball there. But that was the first time that Elizardo Ramirez lost in the last 7 starts. So he's been pretty consistent all year long. He'll give you about 6 or 7 innings, probably give up 3 runs, maybe 4 runs, but he will for the most part, keep you in the game with good control stuff, just good enough. Not a fastball that's overpowering, but he'll get it up around 92 when he has to. The big thing, though, when you play the Cardinals, control your emotions. If they begin to build a rally, don't let the rally take over your train of thought. Try to slow things down and not let the big innings happen to you.
So Elizardo ready to get going, and here's the newest leadoff hitter for the St. Louis Cardinals, Ronnie Belliard. David Eckstein not in the starting lineup tonight. He was away from the club today, attending to some family problems, and he is expected to be back at the ballpark right about game time right now. So he should be available as this evening progresses. But right now, Belliard is starting off in the leadoff spot. Ronnie will play second base tonight. So Belliard, Duncan, and Pujols. Belliard, you know, now 31 years of age, came up in the Brewers organization, was with Milwaukee from '98 through 2002, then on to Colorado, then for Cleveland the last 2 years. And as the Indians started to reassess this year, traded over here. Here you see his numbers, 3 for 6 and a homer against Ramirez. There's a shot into the left field corner. It's curving. It'll be a fair ball. 3 hops to the wall, and Belliard will have his first double as a St. Louis Cardinal. He hit .291 as an Indian. He's hitting .222 coming in. And get this one up, Chris, and it'll cost you.
Well, Elizardo Ramirez, for the most part, has to pound the bottom of the strike zone. He's got to keep it between 2 inches above the knees and about 4 inches below the knees, and that's his zone right there. When you get it up thigh high, waist high, it doesn't have to be up that much to make it very hittable. Belliard with a quick swing. He's got some power now. Elizardo perhaps lucky that ball didn't go out of the yard.
So the Cardinals, who play great fundamental baseball, you expect them to, at the very least, get the ball to the right side and move the runner over. Here's Chris Duncan, son of pitching coach Dave Duncan, a guy who's grinded his way through the minor league system. He has some power, 7 homers, 19 knocked in, and a .285 average as he hits in the number 2 spot. Ramirez trying to stay away to prevent him from getting the ball to the right side. 1 for 4, a home run in St. Louis. It was a tape measure shot. He's got some power. I mean, you can't say that he reminds you in essence of Mark McGwire, because McGwire is a 500 home run hitter, but when you look at the way he sets up, you look at the way he approaches at the plate, he looks like a left-handed McGwire, and he's a big burly kid.
You know what really impresses you about him, George? He's a big kid, yes, and he's got long arms, but he's got a very short swing, and that's a hard thing for a long person to learn, is a short cut. He's worked at it and worked at it, and a tough guy to get out inside.
2 balls, no strikes. Belliard off second. That's a bloop into left. That'll drop. Here comes Dunn charging. They'll send the runner. The throw to the plate coming way high. Is it in time? No. Tagging the plate is Belliard, and the Cardinals lead it after 2 batters by a score of 1-0. Dunn's throw was way high, missed the cutoff man, and came to the third base side. Valentin tried to stay as close as he could to the plate. By the time he gets a glove on it, too late, and it's 1-0 St. Louis.
Well, you know, I mentioned in the Elizardo Ramirez scouting report, keep your emotions under control. That should be same thing should happen to all the Reds fielders. This is a non-play by Adam Dunn right here. He's not going to throw out the first runner of the game right here. Make sure you keep the double play in order if you possibly can. You cannot allow the Cardinals to continue to put runners in scoring position, especially with the likes of Albert Pujols up.
So another runner in scoring position. It'll be a single and a run batted in. Pujols blisters this into the corner. Albert will have his 20th double of the year, and for Pujols, his 90th run knocked into the year, and already 3 batters and no more than 4 pitches, and it's 2-0 St. Louis.
I'll tell you what, I think Jerry Aaron's out there looking at Javier Valentin as much as he's looking at Elizardo Ramirez right now. How about mixing in a breaking ball here? Ronnie Belliard hits an 0-1 fastball. Chris Duncan hits a 2-0 fastball. And Albert Pujols, who's a tremendous fastball hitter, of course, tremendous breaking ball hitter too, but he hits a first count fastball. I mean, let's break in, let's mix in some pitches here before this inning gets away from you.
Already it's 2-0. Duncan singles in the first one. Albert Pujols, who's first in the league with runners in scoring position at 447, cashes in another. Pujols now has a 7-game hitting streak, and the Cardinals lead it by a score of 2-0.
You know, there is such a thing as a pitcher in throwing too many strikes and having such good control that the hitters feel comfortable in the batter's box. And I'm not trying to tell Elizardo Ramirez to start getting wild, but at the same time, if they know he's throwing fastballs and he's always around the dish, that ball looks a lot easier to track.
Here's Rolen, sends it to center. Griffey going back, looking up. It's going to be off the wall. Pujols rounding third. He'll score. 4 straight hits in the first inning. The Cardinals have put a stamp on this one, and the Redbirds lead it by a score of 3-0. Here's a look at Rolen's 35th double of the year that gives the Cardinals a 3-0 lead. That's a sweet swing, Chris.
It's a sweet swing, but he's still in batting practice right now. I mean, I don't know the difference between now and 5 o'clock from watching what Elizardo Ramirez is throwing up there. I mean, if you're going to go out there and give up back-to-back-to-back bullets, I mean, somebody needs to get dusted off the plate. Somebody needs to get a breaking ball bounce in front of them. At some point, you just need to mix things up. And I think that right now, Elizardo Ramirez is just so wrapped up in the fact that he's facing the St. Louis Cardinals, that it's a pennant race. I mean, and he's seeing the big picture and not the little picture. And the little picture for him is making one pitch at a time, trying to get these guys out.
Tom Hume went out, gathered everybody on the mound, took his 2 hands, patted down as if to say, let's calm down, guys. Let's start all over again. Talked to both Valentin and Ramirez. And there's still no one out. 4 straight hits, a double, a single, a double, a double. Here's Edmonds. There's a bouncer down to the first baseman Hatteberg, and kind of a Bronx cheer from the big crowd here. The Reds finally get an out. The runner goes to third. Here's your Ford defensive alignment for the Reds. Cincinnati comes in 13th in the league, having committed 83 errors on the season. Scott Hatteberg's back at first, Phillips at second, Clayton at short, and Edwin Encarnacion's down at third. Dunn, Griffey, Friel in the outfield, and Valentin behind the plate. That's your Ford defensive alignment. Here's Juan Encarnacion at the plate. He's been hot of late. Breaking ball down and away. Encarnacion, 288, 16 homers, 62 knocked in for the season. Reds with the infield in and 1 away and a runner at third. Down to third, snared by Encarnacion. They'll get the 1 out, and Rolen gets back to third. He's safe. He was back at the bag. Encarnacion tried to flip the glove to tag him, and out will come Jerry Narron to argue. He never did tag him, I don't think. We'll look at the replay, but a brilliant play by Encarnacion to get the ball first, hold the runner, and then get the out at first. He's talking with Alfonso Marquez down at third.
This ball's hit so hard, I don't know if we're going to be able to track it. I mean, it was a bullet down the line, and there's Encarnacion making the play. He's clearly back on the bag when he makes the play, but what a tremendous defensive effort that is by Encarnacion. Here's a kid that is much, maligned for his bad defense. He's got 16 errors on the year, but I'll tell you what, that's as good a play as a third baseman has made all year long.
That saved another run very clearly, and there would have been another runner sitting on second base. So a brilliant play by Encarnacion. They get the out at first. That's the second out. And here comes Molina, the 7th batter of the inning, to hit for the Cardinals here in the first. Rolen still off third. Deep to left. Dunn back, looking up. It is off the top of the wall and gone. A 2-run home run from Yadi Molina. That's his 4th homer of the year. 2 of them have been off the Reds. And the ball comes flying back as this big crowd in Cincinnati, unhappy after 1/2 an inning already, Jerry Narron and the Reds are trailing at 5-0.
I'll tell you what, Jerry Narron's a better man than I, because if I'm managing the Reds right now, I'm absolutely fit to be tied. To allow Yadi Molina this pitch on a first pitch fastball, this guy's hitting .213, has 3 home runs all year long, and he's an everyday catcher. Are you kidding me? You can't throw him that pitch.
Four homers on the year, 2 of them against Cincinnati.
I mean, you couldn't put it on a tee any better than he's put it up there right now.
Well, the Reds have dug themselves a big time hole here in the first. So far, the showdown game 1 of the 4-game series. The Cardinals have something to smile about. The Reds are reeling from a first inning that has produced 5 runs on 5 hits. 8 come to the plate. Jerry Narron's club has a big hole to dig out of. They trail 5-0. Back in Cincinnati, let's check your Rico starting lineup for Jerry Narron and the Reds. Ryan Friel will lead it off. Adam Dunn will bat second. Ken Griffey Jr. hits third, and then Encarnacion will hit in the cleanup spot, followed by Hatterberg, Phillips, who had the big 3-for-3 2-home-run game on Sunday. Valentin, Clayton, and Ramirez. Ryan Friel against the Cardinals, .333 for the season and 5 for 9 against the pitcher for the Cardinals tonight. The guy who's bounced around, Chris. He's trying to salvage his career. Here is Senor Weaver.
He's a 29-year-old veteran. At one time, this guy had some nasty stuff. I mean, he threw sidearm about 95 miles an hour, had a wicked slider, a little splitter. A lot of those things have evaporated for him recently. Look at the earned run average, .868. Here's a guy that really is breathing his last breaths as a St. Louis Cardinals, and the Reds have handed him an oxygen tent by giving him a 4-run lead or 5-run lead there in the first inning. He's been great at Great American Ballpark. He's a lefties holiday because they're hitting way over 400 against him, and he's homer happy this year. He has given up in 107 innings 24 home runs, and that's not exactly getting the job done.
So here's Weaver going to work, facing Ryan Friel. Friel 5 for 9 against Weaver in their matchups. The Reds have pretty good numbers against Weaver from top to bottom. They're going to need him after trailing 5-0 after the first half of the first inning. And right away, 3 balls, 1 strike. Friel's average in at .296. The last month and a half, .337 for Ryan Friel. That's a strike, says Larry Young, your home plate umpire. Larry Young behind the plate, Tom Hallion at first, Mike Everett at second, and Alfonso Marquez, your third base umpire. Down to third, but foul. Past Mark Berry, who's in the third base coach's box for the Reds as usual. Billy Hatcher down at first. Well, if there's one difference, there are a lot of differences, but the biggest difference between the Cardinals of this year and the last 5 to 6 years, it's right there on the mound. Cardinals have not pitched the way they usually do. There's a liner, but right at Belliard, 1 away. There's your 4 defensive alignment for St. Louis. The Cardinals come in 4th in the league in defense. They've made 62 errors. That's 21 less than the Reds. And on the season, they've turned 111 double plays. That's about 20 more than the Reds. Aaron Miles is in for Eckstein at short, at least to start the game. Belliard at second, Roland Pujols at the corners, Duncan Edmonds and Encarnacion in the outfield, and Molina behind the plate. That's your 4 defensive alignment. Here's Dunn. That's a shot to right, sinking. Here comes Encarnacion, and he's got it. So 5 pitches and 2 outs. And here comes Ken Griffey Jr. There's Javier Valentin talking with Elizardo Ramirez and Tom Hume on the bench as they try to get back on the same page and salvage where they're going. Jerry Narron will have a short leash as we go out on the second. He can't afford any further uprisings or Ramirez will be gone. Here's Junior, 242, 23 homers, 63 knocked in. Against Weaver for his career, 2 for 15, both of them homers. Against the Cardinals, 5 for 7 and the 2 home runs. His biggest, of course, was that 2-run 9th inning home run in St. Louis that helped key the Reds to a 3-run comeback victory over the Cards closer Jason Isringhausen and keyed a sweep of the series in St. Louis. 3.5 games separate these two teams going into tonight. So obviously for the Reds, it's an opportunity to close the gap. For the Cardinals, an opportunity to set some space up between themselves and the rest of the Central.
Yeah, something that they've really not been able to do, George. They've had opportunities with Reds really going into slumps right before the All-Star break, and then most recently over the last 10 games or so. Cardinals have not taken advantage of it, but when you look at this matchup on paper, the Cardinals and the Reds over the next week or so, you got to figure that, you know, this is one of the Reds' better opportunities to win a ball game when you're running Jeff Weaver out there, who's clearly struggling.
Rippey tags it to right, one hop off the wall, rounding first, going to second, and he'll slam on the brakes as the throw comes right in. He had the play in front of him, so he saw the throw was right on the money, and he headed back to first. So Junior gets a base hit, 2 out, 1 on, and here comes Encarnacion.
Now, the Cardinals did a good job of getting this ball right back into the infield, and when you're 5 runs down early in a ball game, you don't have to feel like you get them all back in one inning. You can peck away a little bit. Just keep the inning alive. Just make Weaver work as best you can, because the more you get into the bullpen in the first game of the series, the more it's going to hurt second, third, and fourth game of the series.
There's Edwin, 287, 7 homers and 47 knocked in. Encarnacion gets the start at third, or really a sits tonight. Against the Cardinals, 6 for 18 and 1 homer for this year. For his career, 324 and 3 homers against St. Louis. Today, Ramirez against Weaver. Tomorrow, Eric Milton against Jason Marquis. Fastball 92 miles an hour, and it's 1-1.
He's living dangerously, though, throwing Edwin Encarnacion up around the letters. Edwin's a very fine, high fastball hitter, one of the best around. That may be the last one of those up there he sees.
Takes a little off. Inside corner strike, and it's 1-2. Hatteberg on deck for Cincinnati. .247th major league appearance for that guy right there. The older of the 2 Weaver brothers, Jared, has been outstanding this year. His younger brother, one of the odds-on favorites for American League Rookie of the Year honors.
Well, right now he's in a struggle to stay in a major league uniform, but he must feel like he's been resuscitated after a 5-run first.
That's a little low. We'll go full 3-2.
Yeah, he's a guy throughout his career has really been able to neutralize right-handed hitters. You see how he kind of drops his arm angle down. He's got a side breaking ball, much similar to Bronson Arroyo, but he's not had very much control of that particular pitch, and it doesn't break anywhere near the curveball of Arroyo's.
Griffey going 3-2, swing and a miss. He got him. He got him with a fastball. Encarnacion strikes out. The Reds get a hit, but the Cardinals get 5 in the first. Weaver will hit when we return. And here he comes. Weaver, and then the top of the order, Belliard and Duncan due up. Career hitting totals for Jeff Weaver. He does have a hit this year, 36 for his career, a .214 career hitter. That's a fair ball. Valentin has it. They'll get the out, and there's one away. Hey, for every Reds run scored in today's game, Safe Auto Insurance Company will donate $50 to the Reds Community Fund. 1-800-SAFE-AUTO encourages you to get home safe. A jolting wake-up call for Elizardo Ramirez in the first. A double, a single, a double, a double. And then it culminated with Yadi Molina's 4th homer of the year, 5-0 St. Louis. Strike one inside corner, Belliard. Now 4 for 7 against Ramirez in their matchups after his leadoff double. There's a shot down to third. Encarnacion has it. 2 away, and here comes Duncan. Here's your Honda standings update for tonight. How important is this series? One peek at the Central Division standings will tell you 3.5 games separate these two teams. The first of 7 in the next 10 days between St. Louis and Cincinnati. And in the wild card hunt, important for the Reds because they're still ahead by just 1 game over the Diamondbacks and the hottest team in the league, the Dodgers. Dodgers were no fluke, Chris. They blew in here and kept blowing away as they left town.
Yeah, and the Reds are going to have to see them when they hit the West Coast here towards the end of the month.
Whoa, Duncan sends this deep to right. Back is Friel. Forget it. That's going to be 5 rows deep and a homer for Duncan. Home run number 8 on the year for Duncan, and the Cardinals now lead it 6-0. And right away, action in the bullpen for Cincinnati.
Well, he gets a first pitch curveball, but it's a get ahead curveball, and it's just about right there, thigh high. I haven't seen a guy get hit this hard since Jimmy Haynes.
There's some moments we'd like to forget. Duncan's homer, his 8th of the year, makes it 6-0, and here comes Albert Pujols, who doubled in a run first time up. Pujols' RBI is 90th of the year, stretched his hitting streak to 7 straight. By the way, the Reds bullpen took another different look today. Kent Mercker was activated off the disabled list, and the Reds picked up Ryan Franklin, who arrived this afternoon. He is in uniform. Franklin, the right-hander from Philadelphia. So the second deal of the last 2 weeks with the Philadelphia Phillies. There is Mercker out in the bullpen, and the other side of it, Chris, Gary Majeski placed on the disabled list with shoulder difficulties. And Jason Standridge on the disabled list with back spasms. Walk to Pujols. And here comes Roland, who doubled in a run in the first.
Yeah, Franklin rolled right out of off the airplane, out of the taxi cab, into the bullpen, and go ahead and get yourself warmed up, Wayne. Or Ryan. 1-5 this year in 45 games with the Phillies. He's been a starter in the past. He's been a reliever. Designated for assignment by the Phillies, 33-year-old right-hander.
And the story surrounding Gary Majeski is he's indicated now that his shoulder's been bothering him for a little while. In fact, there are some indications that it may have been bothering him even before the trade. So it's something that Dr. Timothy Kremchek and Wayne Krivsky will be addressing. They're due to meet with the media this evening at some point in time, but for the time being, at least, he's on the DL. And Chris, after watching Gary Majeski, that hit's rolling, so he's hit by a pitch. After watching Majeski this year, it's very clearly he's not the same pitcher that we saw last year pitching for Washington.
Well, no doubt about that, George. The question is, when he said he had a hurt arm, is it something that he kept to himself, thinking that he was going to be able to, pitch through it, or is it something that is documented by the medical people over in Washington? How long does it take Franklin to get loose?
Jerry Narron checking on the phone to Tom Hume, checking on Franklin, and you have to figure that if Ramirez does not get Edmonds here, that'll be his swan song for tonight. Edmonds bounced out in the first inning. Down and away for a ball, 1-1.
One of the things that happened to Elizardo there in the first inning is that, you know, when pitchers start to go bad, veteran pitchers begin to take a lot of time between pitches. They try to break the momentum of the offense a little bit just by taking more time. Take a lap around the mound, pick up the rosin bag, kick off the dirt from your shoes. And he kept getting the ball going like he was on a roll instead of the other way around. That's how an inning can get out of hand before you even have a 5-minute break. And the Cardinals went pow, 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 and all of a sudden you've been knocked to the mat.
The Cardinals have struggled in a lot of ways this year, but they're still hitting. I mean, they're third in the league in hitting coming in, 272. The Reds are 10th. Yes, the Reds hit more home runs, but the Cardinals still have played fairly decent offensive baseball this year. Their problems have been pitching. So it's not like, yeah, you say the Cardinals aren't what they were. They're still pretty decent offensive ball club.
You're looking at a young man right now pitching scared.
And it's 3 balls and 1 strike to Edmonds. That's in there. We'll go full 3-2 with 2 outs. So the runners from first and second will be off and running. 3-2 to Edmonds. Down to second. Bobbled. Recovered by Phillips, and he throws it away. A run will score. And going to second will be Edmonds. So it'll be second and third. Another run scores. And it's now 7-0. The lead belongs to the Cardinals.
Now the way it's going to be figured out is that Brandon Phillips is going to essentially be charged 2 errors on the play. One for allowing the run to score, the second or the first for allowing the error on first base to Edmonds, and then the second one for allowing the runner to score as he comes around third base right there. So boy, you talk about a bad inning turned into a bad nightmare. 7-zip with 2 outs in the second inning.
2 errors charged. Glenn Sample, the official score, charging the 2 errors to Brandon Phillips. The first for allowing the runner to reach, the second allowing the run to score.
When does Jared Weaver come up again, or Jeff Weaver come up again?
2 more batters. They'll walk Encarnacion intentionally to get to Molina, who homered last time up. And that'll probably be it for Ramirez. We'll see if Narin comes out. Out comes Jerry Narin, and that'll be it. So Ryan Franklin just got to the ballpark this afternoon, and the Reds are hopeful that he can stem the tide as he'll be called upon. A disastrous start for Elizardo Ramirez. The Cardinals have scored 7 in the first 2 innings. Time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on FSN.
Now we get a quick look at the newest Reds pitcher, Ryan Franklin, a 33-year-old right-hander. Originally drafted in the 23rd round by the Seattle Mariners back in 1992. Pitched on the Olympic team that won the gold medal. Picked up 3 wins in that series. Overall lifetime career numbers of 36 wins and 55 losses and a .435 earned run average most recently this season with the Philadelphia Phillies.
Shell shock. That's about the only way you can describe what Elizardo Ramirez has gone through here in the first inning and 2/3.
Well, this is the kind of pitching that you're going to get. I mean, when you go into a pennant race, especially in the month of August, it's a completely different animal than pitching in April, May, and June, and also pitching on a ball club when you're 25 games out of first place. And it's good to find out as early as you can what you have and what you don't have.
So here's Franklin to deal with Molina. Yachty hit his 4th homer in the first inning. They give the Cardinals a 5-0 lead. Franklin turned 33 back in March. Born in Arkansas. Grabs this one. They get the quick out. So Franklin gets a final out of the inning, but the Cardinals add 2 more. Not before Chris Duncan slams a homer, and the Cardinals lead at 7-0. Reds are celebrating 3 generations of Red shortstops by presenting the Reds Power Tradition Bobblehead Series. Final bobblehead of the series features 5-time Gold Glove winner Davey Concepcion. Wednesday, David's Great American Insurance Group bobblehead features him ready to turn 2 on August the 9th. Be one of the first 40,000 fans in attendance to take home a Great American Insurance Group bobblehead of the Gold Glove shortstop Davey Concepcion. Here comes Scott Hatteberg to lead it off, bottom of 2. Hatteberg, Phillips, and Valentin. High in the air to left. Ramirez threw a ton of pitches. Weaver's been to a minimum. There's Ryan Franklin getting to know everybody in the dugout, talking to Mark Berry. Berry's probably just making sure he knows all the signs just in case he does get up there in a sacrifice situation. You've been there, Chris.
Yeah, you know what you usually tell the third base coach when he goes over to signs? He says, don't worry about it. We knew him when we were in Philadelphia.
Sorry.
Just kidding.
Here's Brandon. Phillips 296, 10 homers, 53 knocked in. Another first pitch swing. And just like that, Weaver's treated to 2 quick outs here in the second. 4-3 put out. And here comes Valentin. Here's the busy day for the Reds. It's been like this, hasn't it? Kent Merker off the DL. Gary Majeski to the DL along with Jason Standridge. Matt Belisle sent down to Louisville for his rehab. And Brandon Clausen returned from his rehab, not reinstated. It was a busy day in the front office of the Reds.
Oh, you're right about that, George. Here's the underlying message. You better get the job done or you're not going to be on the active roster.
Reds try to piece together aggressively a bullpen, but so far short-circuited by a series of injuries. Here's Valentin, 220, a couple of homers and 16 knocked in. Weaver, of course, started in the American League, but pitched with the Dodgers as well. Throughout his career, he's faced the Reds 7 times. This is his 8th career appearance against Cincinnati. He's 4-1 for his career with an ERA of just about 4. Twice he started here at Great American Ballpark, limiting the Reds to 3 runs and 14 innings of pitching. That's a 1.84 earned run average. And he's one of those guys, Chris, if you see him for the first time, it takes you a while to figure out the funky move.
Well, even more so, though, if you're right-handed.
Hit pretty good. Valentin, does he deliver? Yes, he does. Out towards the mister. Javier Valentin's 3rd homer of the season. The Reds are on the board at 7-1.
Maybe you get a little life in that Reds dugout. That's really what you need right now. You got to figure going into a game against Jeff Weaver, despite his numbers at Great American Ballpark, 2-0 with a 1.8, you're going to get some runs off of him because recent history shows you he's not exactly what he once was and certainly not on top of his game right now.
There's a shot back through the middle. That's a base hit for Clayton. So back-to-back hits for the Reds. A homer by Valentin, a base hit from Clayton. Here's our Ohio Lottery instant replay, the Valentin homer.
Well, he's had a hard time getting lefties out this season. Jeff Weaver has, and Javi Valentin, a much better left-handed hitter than right-handed hitter, gets a breaking ball and launches. I mean, he is all over that ball. Too bad there weren't 6 on base.
Yeah, we got to bring in that Continental Baseball League that'll be starting next year. If you're behind, you can double the value of your home runs. You could use that right about now.
You better believe it. As long as it doesn't work both ways.
Here's Franklin with Clayton off first. Oh, and 2. They measure the home run by Javier Valentin at 419 feet into right center field. That's a call, strike 3. Ryan Franklin punched out, but the Reds are on the board. Valentin's homer, and it's 7-1 St. Louis as we're going to the third. One more look at Javi's jolt.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Long road back. Reds trying to chip away and get there. They trail it. First 7-0, now 7-1, and it's Franklin's ball game. Ryan Franklin back to work, facing Aaron Miles, the shortstop, hitting in the 8th spot. Miles, Weaver, and then the top of the order, Belliard. If you just joined us, in the blink of an eye, the Cardinals led 5-0 in the first. Double by Belliard, single by Duncan, 1-0, double by Pujols, 2-0, double by Rowland, 3-0, and then a 2-run home run by Molina, 5-0. Duncan added a homer in the second to make it 6-0, and then a double error by Brandon Phillips allowed another run to score, 7-0. Foul back, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Well, Aaron Miles really offensively not what they had hoped to get. He's a guy with a short, compact swing. That ball looked like, that bat looked like it got away from him a little bit. He comes into every at bat choking up a little bit, and he gets 2 strikes on him. He'll choke up a little bit more and a little bit more, just trying to protect the plate. And he does that for the most part. He's a guy that walks a little more, just about as many times as he will strike out. So he's not an easy guy to punch out.
Miles started the year as the Cardinals starting second baseman, supplanted there with the acquisition of Belliard. Now has played second and short. And if you joined us late, David Eckstein left the team for personal reasons, family issue to deal with. He was expected back at the ballpark right about game time. So Miles the starter tonight, and he draws a walk here to start the 3rd inning, and here comes Weaver. Jose Aquindo, the third base coach for Tony La Russa and the Cardinals, and down at first as usual, Dave McKay. Franklin has spent most of his career in Seattle. First called up during the '99 season, mostly a starter for the last 6 years. This year acquired by the Phillies as a free agent in January.
And really the first time since his rookie year and then his sophomore year that he was used out of the bullpen instead of as a starter. You just wonder in the back of the Reds' minds that this was kind of a starting pitcher insurance by getting Ryan Franklin out there just in case there's a blow up among the 4th or 5th starter, as you had tonight.
Franklin bobbles the ball, doesn't lose his presence, still gets the out. It's a successful sacrifice and a 1-4 out. And here comes Belliard, top of the order. Hey, don't forget, Sports Ultimate Nightly Highlight Show is here. The FSN Final Score, every great highlight, every unforgettable moment, every night right here on FSN. The Final Score, you can catch it tonight at 11:30 right here on FSN Ohio. One out, one on. Here's Belliard, 1 for 2. A double and scored a run in the first. And bounced out in the second. In there for a strike, says the home plate umpire Larry Young. The irony of this year not lost on Ronnie Belliard or Brandon Phillips. When the year started, Belliard was in Cleveland as the incumbent second baseman. Brandon Phillips, out of options, was designated for assignment by the Indians. Reds picked them up because they figured Belliard would be their second baseman for this year and longer. Well, the Indians have had their difficulties this year. Belliard gone. The Indians retooling. That's a fastball, 93 miles an hour on the outside corner. Great pitch, great spot. Belliard's punched out, 2 away.
He's got a live arm, no question about that. That is a pretty good sequence of pitches against Ronnie Belliard. After walking the number 8 guy, he's come back to get 2 quick outs.
The 2 out, and here's Duncan. Singled in a run in the first. Homered, his 8th of the year in the second to make it 6-0. Down and in for a ball. Well, the Reds were fortunate in their series in St. Louis 2 months ago, where they got early leads and kept the Cardinal fans out of the ball game. And so far here tonight, the Redbirds have returned the favor. 5 in the first, keeping the Reds fans out of the game early.
That'll be a moral victory for the Reds. If post an inning here, you put a 0 on the board in the top of the frame. I mean, you got to figure you're going to get some runs against Jeff Weaver. Now, will you get enough is the question. They've dug themselves a pretty deep ditch.
2 balls, no strikes to Duncan. Good place to live down there. A strike from Franklin, and it's 2-1.
Yeah, Ryan Franklin, one of those right-handed pitchers that works from the very extreme first base side of the rubber. Really helps him get that ball to the inside to a lefty. He's got a nice little comeback action.
On the outside corner.
Back-to-back pitches, the same pitch, 17 inches apart. One on the inside corner, the second on the outside corner. Tough to track both of those as a hitter. You know, you're usually looking for one spot or another.
2-2. On the corner, he got him. So I walked the leadoff hitter Miles, but gets out of the inning. And hey, the Reds put up a goose egg. We're going to the bottom of 3. Top of the order due up. Top of the order, Ryan Friel, who lined out on the first pitch he saw in the first inning. 0 for 1. Friel done, Griffey due up. A little low, 2 balls, no strikes. Four straight wide ones. The Reds get a leadoff walk here in the third, and here comes Adam Dunn. Hey, win your choice of a new car or $25,000 in cash this Sunday at Grand Victoria Casino in Rising Sun. Restrictions do apply. See the casino for rules.
Well, I certainly hope the rest of the Reds order took good note of that particular bat with Jeff Weaver and Ryan Friel. I mean, after all, here he's got a 6-run lead in the third inning, and he walks the leadoff hitter on 4 pitches. Here's a veteran pitcher that's been around a long time. So if a guy is struggling that much that he can't throw a 2-0 fastball for a strike or a 3-0 fastball anywhere in that strike zone, this guy's struggling. He's struggling with his control. So don't go up there and make an easy out by jumping on the first pitch if it's one of these marginal pitches. I mean, I'm not trying to tell the Reds not to be aggressive at the plate, because you have to be, but and you got to make this guy work a little bit. If he's willing to load the bases up with bases on balls, go ahead and let him.
Now, we told you about his numbers against left-hand hitters. Left-hand hitters, 355 against him. He steps in with Dunn. Dunn, 33 homers, 75 knocked in. He lined to right first time up. That's a strike, 1-1. Dunn's heading for another 40 homer, 100 RBI season. Down to first, Friel just does get his hand back in there, and he got the punishment of the tag from Pujols too.
Well, that is a play that we talked about with third base coach Martin Berry before the ball game in Chris's clubhouse. The Cardinals have this play, and what happens is that you'll see an inside fastball to a left-hander, and it is a planned play that you throw it inside. A lefty can hit it hard down the first baseline, and you fire it down to first base. And in that case, Ryan Friel nearly picked off 6 runs down. This guy will pick you off if he gives you a chance now.
If you include catcher pickoffs and pitcher pickoffs, Ryan Friel has been picked off 7 times this year. That's uncharacteristic for, yeah, he's a 30 stolen base guy, but a guy prior to this year held those to a minimum.
I mean, where are you going, though, when you're 6 runs down?
2 balls, 2 strikes. Molina peers into the bench for some help from La Russa.
You know those little retractable doggy leashes they have? That's what Hatcher needs to have on Friel right now.
That's a call. 3rd strike. Done, punched out. 3rd strikeout for Weaver.
Now he's got some pretty good action on his fastball right there. I don't know what Adam Dunn's looking for, but he's going to have to wait 9 batters to look for it again.
Comeback action over the inner part of the plate. There's your 3rd strikeout, 1st out of the inning, and here comes Junior. Junior single to right off the wall, 1st time up, and they'll chase Friel back again. Misses inside. Griffey's had a couple of homers against Weaver in their matchups. Griffey is the only Red prior to tonight who had homered in the starting lineup. 2 of them. Valentin already has homered tonight. Down and in, 2-0. Yesterday, Junior hit number 559 against the Braves. 161st as a Red. That moved him 1 ahead of the great Gus Bell. That's 11th on the Reds all-time list. Slap foul, and speaking of big blast, let's take a look at that one yesterday, Chris.
Now he got a whole bunch of it. When you hit it off of John Smoltz, Smoltz oftentimes will supply the power. Junior supplies the sweet part of the bat, and boy, those 2 certain Hall of Famers match up against each other. You know there's going to be something happening.
Reds had a lead, couldn't hold it yesterday. Right now they got to come back in this one. Rip, but foul into the seats down the right field line. That homer, by the way, for Junior now gives him 1,040 extra base hits. Next on the all-time list, Pete Rose, 21st at 1,041. So we'll go full 3-2 with 1 out. See if Friel will be running. Pujols now moves behind Friel. He'll play behind him, will not hold him on. Weaver to the stretch. Friel not going, and it's fouled off.
Well, that I don't understand, because even before the pitch was made by Jeff Weaver, Albert Pujols at first base had moved back. He had to be 10 feet behind Ryan Friel. I mean, Ryan Friel could have crawled on his belly back to first base before Pujols had gotten there. I mean, if they're going to give it to you and stay out of a double play, go ahead and do it. Look at the distance right there. There's no way that Albert Pujols can cover the bag and get Friel in a case of a pickoff or anything else.
Friel not going again. That's a call, strike 3. So Weaver, who's had trouble against lefties all year, punches out 2 lefties back to back looking. 4 strikeouts, 2 away.
You got to hand it to Jeff Weaver. I mean, he's trying to make this 6-run lead stand up. He got Junior that time on an inside fastball. Previous batter Adam Dunn got on an outside fastball. 2 pretty good pitches.
There's Encarnacion, and there's a slider that drops in there for a strike. Weaver against lefties, the opponent's batting average. Against righties, you see the difference, Chris.
Yeah, the numbers you said earlier, George, at 355 or so, that was all year long. These are numbers just with the St. Louis Cardinals. So he is not exactly impressed over here as a Cardinal, especially versus left-handers.
That's a liner over Rollins' head into the corner. Here comes Friel around second, heading to third. They'll hold him there, and Encarnacion has his 24th double of the year.
Now, this is one reason why when they do give you a base to steal, that you go ahead and steal it. Just because you're 6 runs down, if you know 100% that you're going to be correct in getting that second base, you go ahead and do it, because if you do, this double by Edwin Encarnacion makes it a 7-2 ball game, and little by little you crawl back into it. Now it's going to require another hit to plate a couple.
So Edwin's at second, Friel stops at third, and here's Hatteberg, fly to left on the first pitch he saw on the second. That's a foul ball down the right field line. Nice catch. Best catch of the night. Ouch. That's where Weaver has stayed all night long. He's been pitching lefties in. He shows them away, but they've been getting them out in.
Well, most of his pitches are somewhat flat. Even his breaking ball is kind of flat. So he's got to go east and west with his pitches. And he'll come way in on left-handers. Had a little downward break on it, though. Breaking ball he kept his fingers on top of.
Hatteberg in at 317, leads the Reds in hitting. A base hit here could produce 2 and get the Reds a little closer.
Maybe Jeff Weaver, you're not really all that concerned if you happen to walk Scott Hatteberg. Hatteberg is having a career year, 317 batting average. He's walked more times than he has struck out, and he's got a base open there at first base. So why come to him when you've got a right-hander on deck? Right-hander that hasn't seen you too much.
Down and in a walk. His second walk of the inning. The bases are loaded. And here comes Brandon Phillips.
You know, Jeff Weaver will remind you a little bit of Bronson Arroyo. You know, he's built like Arroyo. He's got long blonde hair like Arroyo. He throws sidearm with a sidearm breaking ball like Arroyo. And he will pick his matchups much in the same way that Bronson Arroyo will pick his matchups. And I don't think Weaver ever really wanted anything to do with Scott Hatteberg. He's got a righty coming up, and he's going to take his chances with Brandon Phillips.
Brandon had 3 hits and a couple of homers yesterday. The Reds fans here want him to duplicate it right here. He bounced out first time up. Bases loaded. That's a strike. The 2 homers yesterday give him 10 for the year. 8 against right-handers, 2 against left-handers. The big weekend for Phillips. A change-up, swing and a miss. The big weekend for Phillips. He's 368 coming in for the month of August. He's one of the few Reds that's hit well this month.
You're right, and he's been streaky. When he gets hot, the guy can carry a ball club, no question about it. But he's going to have to make an adjustment mid-at-bat. to put a good swing on Jeff Weaver.
No balls, 2 strikes, setting up the end and going away. Popped up right side. Here comes Encarnacion. The Reds will strand the bases full here in the 3rd, and they trail it 7-1 going to the 4th in Cincinnati. Well, how good are the Cardinals on this night? 7 runs on 6 hits. They lead the Reds 7-1 as we head to the 4th inning. Big comeback night for Cincinnati if they want to get back in this one. Great to have you with us at Cincinnati's Great American Ballpark. Here's Ryan Franklin. He got the final out of the 2nd inning. Walked the batter. Got out of the trouble in the 3rd, and here he faces Pujols for the first time. Albert doubled in the 1st, stretched his hitting streak to 7 straight. Knocked in a run and walked his 2nd time up. Sky to center field. Here comes Junior. He's got it. Pujols retired for the first out of the 4th inning. Here comes Scott Rowland, and here comes our Aflac trivia question for tonight. Aflac. Rich Cope's GM of the night, who's the only player in Major League Baseball history with 1,300 or more extra base hits and not 600 plus home runs. Answer coming up. Here's Scott Rowland. Doubled in a run to make it 3-0 in the 1st, and hit by a pitch 2nd time up. 15 homers for Rowland. Luke towards center. Back is Phillips. Looking. Can't get to it. It's a base hit for Rowland. Scott Rowland gets a base hit. He's got a 4-game hitting streak now after the 2 hits tonight.
I made a pretty good pitch to Ryan Franklin. You can see where the ball hit the bat right around the trademark, and that's usually the sign of getting jammed. Sometimes you see the bat splinter when it gets hit there, but this time the ball lands in no man's land, and broken bat single for Rowland.
So Rowland on first with 1 out, and here's Edmonds. Fly ball short right. Here comes Friel. He got it. They're trying to double him up at first. Too late, but another great catch from Ryan Friel. Well, the Reds lethargic through the first 3 innings, but don't tag that on number 6. He tries to ignite his teammates with another brilliant effort. This catch snuffs out a base hit and gets fans on their feet in Cincinnati.
Now, one of the reasons that Ryan Friel's able to make this catch is that he plays a fairly shallow right field to begin with, even against a hitter like Jim Edmonds, who can drive the ball big time to right field. He gets a good break, and he comes in and he just plays a fearless outfield. I mean, this guy will hurl his body any direction to try just to make an out. We saw him crash into a wall in foul territory to catch a foul pop up just a few days ago. So Edmonds, who has certainly done his job to rob enough base hits among his compatriots around the leagues over the last few years, finally gets a little payback.
The 2 away, and here's Juan Encarnacion. 0 for 1 and an intentional walk. To Hopper, past Clayton into center. Rowland takes a big turn, but will stop at 2nd. A base hit for Encarnacion, and here comes Molina. Cardinals do not steal a lot of bases coming into tonight. They had only 43 stolen bases compared to 90 for the Reds. But at varying times, Tony La Russa will break the mold. He'll hit and run with 2 outs. He'll hit and run at unorthodox times. But you always have to be wary and conscious of what this Cardinal skipper might do.
Well, he's probably not going to put anything on, obviously, with Yadi Molina, who may have had his day in the sun here, at least in this ball game. .213 batting average coming in. Hit the first pitch he saw of the evening for a 2-run bomb off of Ramirez. Well, I mean, if history is any indicator of what this at-bat should produce, it should produce an out for the Reds. I mean, Ryan Franklin and his slider should essentially take care of this at-bat with Molina. You make a bad pitch, and the guy's got a chance to take you out, but he should really concentrate and get this guy out right here.
You got Molina to hit a weak ground ball back to the mound. He was the first batter he faced back in the second inning. No balls, 2 strikes. Hop back, that'll be in the seats. Pretty good crowd on hand here in Cincinnati. Over 30,000, looks like maybe 33, 34,000. As the Reds and Cardinals play the first of 4 here. And then they'll play 3 more times in St. Louis next week. The final 7 times they'll play during the regular season. 0-2. Popped up behind the plate. It'll be back in the seats.
Well, you got to figure, George, that this should be a good crowd here at Great American Ballpark. This is the first of 3 games against the Cardinals series that is a 4-game series overall that offers a lot of half-price seats. So people have taken advantage of those. They've come out. It's you know, big series anyway, and you know, you can almost understand the fact that there's been such a major changeover in personnel in this ball club that, you know, fans that casually follow the Reds are even certain who's on this team right now.
That's a fair ball towards the corner. It'll roll all the way into the corner. 1 run will score. Coming around third and coming to the plate is Encarnacion. He'll score, and Yadi Molina's done it again. A 2-run homer in the first and a 2-run double here in the fourth, and the Cardinals now lead it 9-1.
Well, these are the kind of add-on runs that just kill you if you ever think your team's going to get back in the ball game. And Molina, who has really struggled with the pitch away from him, gets one on the inner part of the plate, gets the bat head through, and hits a sizzler right down the line. Hey, give the young man some credit because he put the fat part of the bat on the ball and took advantage of a mistake pitch by Ryan Franklin.
So Molina out at second with Miles, the number 8 hitter, at the plate. They'll walk him intentionally.
But there are some, you know, George, I'm not trying to take anything at all away from Yadi Molina because I'd have him on my team any day of the week because he's a tremendous defensive catcher. He throws as well, if not better, than anybody in Major League Baseball right now, calls a great game, et cetera, et cetera. But offensively, as a pitcher, looking at the opposition, there are certain guys that you have to say, I can get this guy out. And in a situation with 2 runners on base, you want Yadi Molina coming to the plate because he can be pitched to with a right-handed pitcher. And you cannot make a mistake with a 2-strike count to him and hang your breaking ball. You just can't do it. If you do, you're going to end up down by 8, and that's exactly what's happening.
Reds have made a peck of mistakes tonight. There's a grounder into right. Here comes the throw to the plate. They got a shot at it, and he's going to be a dead duck. Ryan Friel came up with a brilliant diving catch to save 1 out, and his perfect throw to the plate saves another run. But the Reds still trail it 9-1 going to the bottom of 4. Welcome back to Cincinnati. Time for our Aflac Trivia answer of the night. Only player with 1,300 or more extra base hits and under 600 home runs. Guy who started his career as a pitcher. A left shoulder injury moved him in the minor leagues to the outfield. One of the greatest hitters, one of the greatest men ever to wear a baseball uniform. Stan the Man Musial. 1,377 extra base hits, 475 career home runs. Hall of Famer, Stan the Man Musial. Well, Stan the Man always wore number 6. The guy who's worn 6 for the Reds tonight has really been the Cincinnati spark plug. That's Ryan Friel. A great defensive catch and then a great defensive throw for Friel. Those have been the 2 highlights of the night. except for one swing from this guy. Javier Valentin's swing in the second, a 419-foot homer. And that's the lone run that the Reds have. A run, 4 hits for Cincinnati, 9 runs, 10 hits for the Cardinals. Philadelphia in the 5th is leading Atlanta 7-1 in Atlanta. Ryan Howard in that game has hit his 39th homer for the Phillies. Down the left field line, curving, foul, and out of play. Going into play tonight with a homer by Howard. He's number 1 in the National League. Soriano number 2 at 35. Albert Pujols at 34 and Dunn at 33. Those are the home run leaders in the National League. Pujols also in the top 10 in hitting at 324. And in runs batted in the top 5 now with 90 after the run batted in early. So Albert's got another year where he's got a shot at the Triple Crown. Last year's most valuable player.
And you know, putting up the batting average and slugging numbers for Albert Pujols, obviously something that surprises nobody, but the fact that his raw numbers are still there after missing a significant amount of time on the disabled list, it's remarkable. He went on the disabled list with a muscle pull in his rib cage and came back and he sold the home run lead.
Very special player on both sides of the ball. There's a swing and a miss. Valentin's retired. That's strikeout number 5 from Weaver. 1 out in the 4th, and here comes Royce Clayton. And here's the follow-up to our Aflac trivia question. Extra base hit numbers 1,377, 3rd most in Major League Baseball history. 475 homers, 177 triples, and 725 doubles for Stan the Man Musial.
You know, one of the most impressive things about his numbers when you look inside is that he has more than twice as many bases on balls as he does strikeouts in his course of his major league career. You talk about a guy that just would not strike out, he'd take a walk for you.
Corkscrew stance and perfection at the plate.
And the majority of his career, they didn't keep the on base percentage statistic.
Very special player and a very special man. 1 ball, 1 strike to Clayton. Speaking of milestones, Clayton played this weekend in his 2000th career game. That's an accomplishment when you think about it. You start your career, you think 2000's a long way away, and you talk to Royce now, it seems like it's a blink of an eye. And part of that career, of course, spent in St. Louis, acquired from San Francisco, where he battled Ozzie Smith for the shortstop's job, and was in a very difficult situation in his years in St. Louis. That's a swing and a miss, back-to-back strikeouts, and Weaver's looking more like Bob Gibson than Jeff Weaver.
Yeah, at least Bronson Arroyo anyway. And you know, a lot of things can happen when you're a pitcher. You come back to some friendly environs, and we told you before the ball game that at Great American Ballpark, Weaver is 2-0 with a 1.8 earned run average. He knows he's on his last breath as a Cardinal pitcher unless he picks it up a little bit. The Cardinals get him a big lead. He begins to find his breaking ball. Now all of a sudden the Reds are, you know, just out of sync. There's not a lot of life in the dugout. There's not a lot of life in the stadium here, and he's going to feed on it and try to nail down a victory.
Here's Franklin, struck out first time up. Hey, Pepsi, it's a preferred drink, proud sponsor of the Reds, a team of tradition. Pepsi, it's the cola. 1-1 in there for a strike. Seven strikeouts for Weaver tonight, including the side here in the 4th inning. He's got a 9-1 lead. We're heading to the 5th. What a first inning for the Redbirds. Chris Duncan singled in the first run. Albert Pujols doubled in a run to make it 2-0. Scott Rowland got into the act too. His double made it 3-0 for the Redbirds. Cap it all off with Yadi Molina's 4th homer of the year. This shot made it 5-0, and the Redbirds are off and running, Chris, to what is now a 9-1 lead.
You know, for the first time a pitcher faces a new team, often you would say that the pitcher has the advantage, but it looked like the Cardinals either got a tremendous scouting report or Elizardo Ramirez just simply threw the ball down the middle, and that's what it appeared to me. I mean, they came in there obviously knowing that Ramirez had good control and throws a lot of strikes, and will try to establish his fastball early. And they came in there hitting the first and second pitch they saw and never looked back.
5 hits and 5 runs in the first. Started with a Belliard double. He's up for the 4th time here in the 5th inning. He doubled, bounced out, struck out, 1 for 3. Ryan Franklin came in to get the final out of the 2nd. Gave up a walk in the 3rd. Gave up 4 hits and 2 runs in the 4th. Popped up. Clayton has it, 1 away. Belliard's retired, and here comes Duncan. Hey, don't forget, tonight on the Best Sports Show period, presented by Buffalo Wild Wings, Oakland's Eric Chavez and Nick Swisher check in to tell the guys if the A's have another strong second half in store for them. Plus, World Series hero Kirk Gibson stops by, and a whole lot more. The Best Sports Show period tonight, right here on FSN. Well, you get Dibbs and Gibby together. That should be an interesting show tonight. Talk about great home runs and memorable home runs. Kirk Gibson had his share. Duncan singled in a run, homered in another, and then struck out. He's 2 for 3. Hey, don't forget, you can enter the Tri-State Chevy Dealers Great American Ballpark Experience. 20 lucky winners will be chosen to show off their skills. Take home an authentic jersey and much, much more. Once in a lifetime chance to play like the pros. Visit www.trychevy.com to enter. Registration ends August the 31st. 1-2.
George, the other day we sent out some well wishes to our good buddy 15-year-old Sam Foreman, who was going to have surgery. I want to give you an update. Surgery went great. Sam is feeling good. We missed him at the Sluggers party, but we wish him a speedy recovery and get back to doing what you love to do, Sam, which is talk and run.
And root for the Reds.
And root for the Reds, obviously.
Keep rooting tonight, Sam. We need you. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Duncan. Great changeup way out in front, Duncan. That's a strikeout. For Franklin, his 3rd strikeout in the 3 innings of work.
That's an excellent pitch by Ryan Franklin, a pitch that a lot of hitters maybe didn't even know he had.
Hey, Chris, there's a good friend. Talk about guys you wish well. Chuck Harmon, Reds infielder in the 50s. Boy, you know, he's proud for what transpired at Cooperstown this past week. 17 representatives of the Negro Leagues inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. Very special man. Every time he comes to the park, and every time you see him, you always leave with a smile on your face.
Well,
after
you're not
you talk
kidding
to
about
Chuck.
that. And I'll tell you what, he comes to a lot of games too. He doesn't miss a thing. Hopefully he got here late tonight.
He's got a frown on his face. I don't think he did. 2-0 to Albert. That's a strike to Prince Albert, who doubled in a run to stretch his hitting streak to 7 straight. Then he walked, then he flied out. For his career, 28 homers and 82 knocked in against Cincinnati. Top back and out of play. And he understands the game. He came into batting practice today and he looked around. He said, it seems strange to look out there and not see Austin Kearns, because it was Pujols, Dunn, and Kearns who both came up at the same time, played A ball together, and they've been friends ever since. The Reds, of course, packaging Kearns in the deal to Washington for bullpen help. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Right on the corner. That's a call, strike 3. That's 4 punch outs for Franklin. It's a 1-2-3 fifth. The Reds have a clean inning for the first time tonight, but still trail. Ryan Ryan Friel will lead it off as we go to the bottom of 5, and ever the optimist, Daddy Wags, Mark Wagner up in the booth, peeling through the stats and the numbers on this night. And he tells us, Chris, that the last time the Reds trailed by this many runs and came back to win was August the 11th of '76, almost 30 years ago. They trailed the Cubs 10-1 at Wrigley, but came back to win.
So it has happened.
It has happened.
Some people have been around long enough to remember that.
Jesse. 2 balls, 1 strike to the leadoff hitter Ryan Friel. He worked a walk back in the 3rd. And after Dunn and Griffey struck out, Encarnacion doubled to put runners at 2nd and 3rd. Hatteberg walked to load the bases, but Phillips flied out to end the inning. Reds stranded 3 in the inning. They've stranded 5 so far tonight. The only run Cincinnati has came on a Valentine homer, his 3rd of the year. That's a liner, right center. That's a base hit. Edmonds will cut it off, bobble it, but Friel will stay there on first. Smart defense by Edmonds. He bobbled it, but he knew who was running, so he just picked it up and flipped it to second.
Now Ryan Friel gets a 3-1 fastball, and he just tries to take it where it is pitched. Doesn't try to overpower it, and he's having himself a pretty good night. He started the bottom of the 1st inning with a line shot right at the second baseman, but he's been on his last couple of times, and he's hit the ball hard each time he's put the ball in play. What else is new?
So Friel, his 2nd straight leadoff on base effort. A walk and the base hit. Here's Dunn, who lined to right and struck out looking. Griffey to follow. Turn that around into the seats down the right field line for a strike.
You know, you'll see the same kind of foul balls off of Jeff Weaver from a left-handed hitter that you will off of Bronson Arroyo. He just throws that little breaking ball in there, and there's no way that you can keep that baby fair. And he's done a good job tonight, as when he has come inside and not missed out over the plate.
Setting up way wide is Molina. 0-2. Behind him, and it hits him.
Like I say, he hasn't left anything out over the plate. You're talking about coming inside. It's a big target.
Going to get hit. That's about the best place to get hit. But Dunn's on 1st and 2nd for the Reds, and here comes Junior. 9 a big number, yes, but with this kind of offense, and the Reds after the home run by Valentine, 157 homers on the year, chip away here and there, and you can get back in this one. Here's Griffey, a single and a strikeout looking in the dirt, down and in. Junior, 559 for his career. Reggie Jackson next on the list, number 10 all time at 563.
Well, you got to figure that if the Reds are going to do damage against Jeff Weaver, it's going to happen quickly, because Tony La Russa is not going to hang around and allow Weaver to squander an 8-run lead.
In his appearances for the Cardinals, his first appearance was against the Braves on the 17th of July. He pitched 4 innings and 5 2/3, 5 2/3. And last time up 3 1/3. Here's that home run list. Junior 10 behind Rafael Palmeiro for number 9. 1 ball, 1 strike. Got in on him a little, and it's foul back. 1-2. Up left side, Rolen drifting back, falling and hauling it in for the first out. So 2 on, 1 out, and here comes Encarnacion. Here comes our Cincinnati Children's Hospital Down on the Farm report at Sarasota. Hector Tiburcio 3 for 4, another big night. Jay Garthwaite 2 for 4, 2 home runs. They won 8-6 at Vero Beach against the Dodgers farm team. And at Dayton, Daniel Guerrero 5 innings, 5 hits. Jay Bruce another 2 for 4 night, couple of runs batted in. They won 5-2 against Burlington yesterday. And that's your Cincinnati Children's Hospital Down on the Farm report. Reminder, the inaugural Cincinnati Walks for Kids on November the 4th will celebrate patients of Cincinnati Children's. Enjoy a fun-filled day while raising funds to help support sick kids. Register at cincinnatichildrens.org/walk.
Jeff Weaver's had the strikeout pitch working on the night. Count them up right now. There are 7 of them. And he has really outdone himself with strikeouts since coming over the Cardinals. The last 5 outings, Jeff Weaver has recorded only 6 strikeouts total. Tonight, he's got 7. There's the numbers for you. 18 2/3 innings, 5 strikeouts. All those starts with the St. Louis Cardinals. Tonight in 4 1/3, he's punched out 7 of them. So he's gotten it together at the same time the Reds have decided to swing and miss a lot.
Slapping the bat down is Encarnacion as he pops up also. So back-to-back pop-ups. 2 away now, and here comes Hatteberg with still 2 on for the Reds. Hey, last year Ohio Lottery tickets helped a lot of people have fun with over $1 billion in prizes won. Every day Ohio Lottery tickets help Ohioans in millions of ways. Hatteberg flied to left and worked a walk in the 3rd. That walk loaded the bases, but Phillips flied to right to end the inning. In the air, ball and a strike. That red hot month of July where he hit .425, #1 in the National League, has pulled him to within that 2-hit margin of 1,000 for his career. Very solid and professional hitter. Hatteberg digs in 1-1. That's a bullet, but right at Pujols. Tricky last hop, but Albert handles it. Now the Reds hit one right on the nose, but not good enough. They strand 2 more. They've stranded 7 and trail at 9-1. Honda dealers, visit myCincinnatiHondaDealer.com for your best Honda buy. Here's Ryan Franklin. He keeps rolling, Chris.
Certainly does, George. He's got a nice little fastball. I think what you would characterize him as having a quick arm. He gets the arm up there and he makes a 92-mile-an-hour fastball seem a little bit better. We've always heard and seen that he's had a pretty good slider. What I've been impressed with is his changeup, one that he's used very effectively against left-handers. Got Chris Duncan to strike out on it in the last inning, and he's picked up 4 punch-outs on the night.
Franklin as a reliever, his longest outing in a long time.
Yeah, since August of 2002, according to our good buddy Daddy Wags, a game in which he went 4 1/3 innings out of the bullpen. Primarily, however, used in the role of a starting pitcher throughout the majority of his major league career. So 4 innings as a reliever, as a converted starter, no big deal.
And Chris, you look at it, Kyle Loesch, Brian Franklin, both on this roster now, could be starters in waiting. Here's a look at the strikeout side
He's
for
really
Franklin.
threaded the needle a few times. You can see where these pitches are. That's the changeup I was talking about, and he got Albert Pujols looking on a perfectly placed fastball.
2-2 to Roland. Doubled in a run, hit by a pitch and single. Hit pretty good, right center field. Creel going back to the wall, looking up. It's gone.
Ryan Franklin just found the answer to his own trivia question. What do the ballparks in Philadelphia and Cincinnati have in common? They give up the long ball very easily.
10-1 St. Louis for Roland, his 16th homer of the year. Roland had gone 77 at bats without a homer, and now in the last couple of days has 2. Number 15 this weekend, and here's number 16.
Scott Rowland's just a big, strong guy, and you throw him up just a little bit below the letters, out over the plate, he's going to hit the ball hard somewhere. He just got enough air underneath that one to send it right out of here in the right center field.
His 22nd career homer against the Reds. So Roland and Pujols and Edmonds have been wrecking crews wherever they've been. And Albert saying that's pretty good, huh? Ten runs, 11 hits for St. Louis, a run, 5 hits for the Reds. Here's Edmonds. Bounced out, reached on an error, and lined to right. So usually when the Reds play the Cardinals, that guy's the culprit, either picking balls off the wall or over the wall or line drives in center or hitting a homer. Edmonds has 29 career homers against the Reds, but tonight he's been quiet. It's been everybody else who's unloaded. Swing and a miss. Edmonds retired 0 for 4. For Franklin, punch out number 5. Rotation for the series has Eric Milton against Jason Marquis tomorrow. Aaron Harang against Chris Carpenter on Wednesday. We're on the air both nights with Real Reds at 6:30. Then on Thursday, Bronson Arroyo against Anthony Reyes. Bouncer down to short. Clayton has it. Takes care of it. 2 away, and here comes Molina.
Reds fans, if you're looking for more taste, more quality, and more time, then pick up some JTM Steakhouse beef patties. Now packed in new resealable bags.
Well, whatever Molina's got, he'd like to reseal it and keep it in his back pocket. Tonight, what a night. A 2-run homer in the first. Bounced out in the second. And then a 2-run double in the fourth. 4 runs batted in for Yadi Molina. And if you joined us late and just tuned in and wondering who the heck is that guy out on the mound, it's Ryan Franklin, who the Reds picked up earlier today from Philadelphia. Changes again for the Reds bullpen. Franklin activated after the deal. Kent Merker activated today too. Gary Majeski placed on the disabled list with a sore shoulder, and Jason Standridge placed on the disabled list with back spasms. So the revolving door continues in the Reds bullpen. Center field, Griffey there. He'll squeeze it. That'll do it. But a leadoff homer by Roland, his 16th of the season, and the Cardinals lead at 10-1. Here comes Brandon Phillips. Welcome back. The Cardinals 10 runs, 11 hits. They got a big lead early, 5 in the first, 2 in the second, 2 in the fourth, and 1 in the sixth. They lead at 10-1. Time for our Geico Direct quote of the night. It comes from Scott Hatteberg. Is this an important series?
Yeah, I think it's a really big series. I think everybody's goal right now is the team we're playing right now, and we're 2 games behind. I mean, we would love to win the Central. That's, I think, our goal right now. And in order to do that, you got to go through this team right here. So usually you find yourself in these situations at the end of September, but we're here right now. And not that winning it, having a good series or having a poor series is going to make the difference, but it'll definitely help or hurt. So we're looking to put ourselves, right there up on top with them.
Swing and a miss by Brandon Phillips. 1 ball and 1 strike. Brandon tonight bounced to second, fly to right. Hatteberg's comments on the money. These 7 games are critical, but still 2 months of baseball left. The Reds and the Cardinals both pointing to these games as important. But Chris, when you look at this month of August, this whole month is important.
There's no doubt about that, George. Just take one quick glance at the wild card standings and you realize how important it is, because the majority of the teams the Reds are playing are on that list of also-rans in the wild card race. And when it's all said and done, it just might be an easier task to catch and surpass the Cardinals in the Central Division than it will be to stay atop that wild card, because you got so many teams in that race that are still alive. And you got to figure somebody's going to put a run on. Somebody's going to get hot over a sustained period of time and begin to make some ground up there.
And remember, the Reds have this year a 3-city West Coast road trip. Usually you go 2 cities once and then 2 cities, you include Colorado or Phoenix. But this time around it's 3 cities. So
like
it's
the good old days.
Yep. That's a rough road trip come end of August, beginning of September. Here's Valentine. He homered to get the Reds on the board in the second, then struck out in the fourth. Been rough sledding for the Reds tonight, but for Tony La Russa, he got to feel like he woke up on Christmas morning to get what he's gotten from Jeff Weaver. Weaver's allowed only 5 hits and 1 run after struggling in each of his previous starts for St. Louis. That's a bullet into right. That's a base hit. So Encarnacion will pick it up after Valentine gets his second hit. He's 2 for 3, and that brings up Royce Clayton.
Now he's had some pretty good swings at Jeff Weaver on the night. One of them is a home run that he hit the right center field. This one a line shot on 1 hop to the right fielder. But really, despite the 6 hits in the 5 1/3 innings, the Reds have really been unable to sustain anything against Weaver. He's made big pitches when he's had to, and he's really kept the Reds just completely out of this thing.
Tom Hallion saying yes, Clayton went around for strike 1.
He had a figure going into this series, and I'm sure there will be games in this series like this, but Jerry Narron you always try to prepare a little bit more when you face a Tony La Russa team. You know how prepared he is and his coaching staff and the game plan that they have and the types of players that they acquire to execute that game plan. So you get yourself geared up for that. But when you're down 10-1, I mean, there's no strategizing you can do to get your team back in this thing. So you've got a dugout of a major emotional letdown right now.
Jason LaRue ready to pinch hit for Franklin, who's due up next. Down to third, but it'll stay foul. We'll try it again. 0-2. In the 6th inning now, Philadelphia leading Atlanta 7-4. San Francisco, Arizona still to come. American League One final. Toronto beat Baltimore 8-1. In the 7th, Detroit leads Minnesota 6-3, and in the 7th, the Angels lead the White Sox 5-2. Texas and Oakland still to come. Clayton stays alive. Closing in on 100 pitches, the lanky right-hander. Luzardo Ramirez went only an inning and 2/3 as the Red starter. Gave up 6 hits, 7 runs, 6 in the earned. Didn't strike out a batter, walk 2. He was cannonaded in the first inning and 2/3. Franklin at the final out of the second. And is pitched through the 6th here, and LaRue will pinch hit for him if he comes to the plate. 2 away here, 1 away here in the inning with Valentin on. One and 2. That's nubbed towards second. They'll take the out at first and get it. 2 away. And here comes LaRue to pinch hit, and here comes our Ohio Lottery winning numbers for tonight. Pick 3, 075, 075. Pick 4, 7681, 7681. Rolling cash 5, 128, 31, 36. 128, 31, 36. Hope you had a winner tonight in the Ohio Lottery. So far, number 36 for the Cardinals has pitched well. Weaver allowing only 6 hits and 1 run, and here's LaRue to pinch hit for Ryan Franklin, who did well in his first appearance as a Red. Chris, you've been there before. You're traded, you arrive at the ballpark, get your uniform, unpack your bag, and sometimes you may not have even met all your teammates, and here you are coming in first night on the job.
Well, that's the way you want it, though. You want to get in there right away. You want to show your teammates what kind of pitcher you are, what kind of person you are, and the best way to do that is go out and perform.
Down to third, scooped up by Rowland. Over to Pujols, and that will do it. Reds get a hit, nothing to show for it in the 6th. They've stranded 8 and trail by 9, 10-1. Here's a new pitcher for the Reds, Todd Coffey.
3rd day in a row for this big right-hander coming into a ball game for the 56th time on the year. At one time he was a closer. He's been the relief ace, and now he gets his 3rd day of work in a row in a blowout ball game here to try to pitch a 7th inning for the Reds.
Ryan Franklin in his Reds debut goes 4 1/3, 5 hits and 3 runs, 1 pitch, and 1 out for Todd Coffey as Miles bounces out. And Weaver's night is done as John Rodriguez will come in to pinch hit. Rodriguez, the left-hander off the bench for Tony La Russa. La Russa has Rodriguez from the left side. Gary Bennett, the backup catcher. So Taguchi and David Eckstein from the right side, and Spezio, the switch hitter. There's the guy who's pitched well tonight, allowing the Reds only 6 hits and a run.
6 innings, that's his longest and by far his best stint as a Cardinal.
And there is David Eckstein. He has arrived at the ballpark, so he's available if Tony La Russa needs him. He was not available at the start of the day today. He left the ball club for family matters and was expected to return about game time, and he is back. Here's Johnny Rodriguez, 299, a couple of homers and 16 knocked in. Pretty good crowd on hand here at Great American Ballpark tonight. 3 more games left in the series. Tuesday night, Wednesday night, day game Thursday. Hope you join us.
Probably had a big walk-up tonight, did we not, George?
About 5,000 walk-ups. They sold about 10,000 tickets for the series today. And one of the great things that they've developed here, you walk around the ballpark and you're down by the ticket area. They've got ticket kiosks now where you can pick up your tickets. You don't have to actually go to the ticket window. So you don't have to wait in line at the window. Go to the kiosk and you can pick up tickets for any games that have been purchased with a credit card up to 2 hours prior to the game. And they're on the other side of the lobby area, so it gives you a little more room. This one hit pretty good, left center field. Dunn going over. That's going to be one hopping off the wall. And Rodriguez will have his 11th double of the year. So even the bench guys are getting into the act tonight.
John Rodriguez, a pretty good fastball hitter, and that's exactly what he gets on a 3-ball, 1-strike count. Goes the other way with it, and boy, the Cardinals are just got the whipping sticks working tonight.
Well, the way this series has gone this year, he who hits wins. It's been true for the Reds when they won in St. Louis. They've won 6 of the 8, and tonight Jerry Narron's peeking at the scoreboard. Read it and weep. 10 runs, 12 hits for St. Louis. Good spot, swing and a miss. Belliard tonight started it all with a double in the first. Bounced out, struck out, flied out. He's 1 for 4. He's always hit well here. Coming into tonight, he was .359 in his career, mostly as a Brewer and an Indian. Unsigned for next year, so for Ronnie Belliard, it's partly an audition, not just for the Cardinals, but for everybody else to see where he'll be in 2007.
You know, getting in a blowout like this really can set your bullpen upside down and backwards. I mean, it was a good thing that Ryan Franklin was able to make it to the ballpark on time today. It was also a good thing that this guy, Todd Coffey, can answer the bell. 6 of the last 7 ball games he's been in. You kind of want to hold. I mean, if Eddie Guardado's arm is barking a little bit, you want to hold Bray back, because you certainly don't want the Cardinals to see him until perhaps the game is on the line. That is, if indeed his Guardado is not able to answer the bell. So as a manager, you're not only looking at this ball game right now, you're looking at tomorrow's ball game and Wednesday's ball game and so on down the road. How you're going to manage your bullpen is an important part of that.
And Franklin really gave them a boost with 4 1/3. I mean, if he was only going an inning or an inning and a third, then your whole bullpen had to be emptied tonight. Here's the 2-2. And we'll go full, 3 balls and 2 strikes to Belliard. That's just foul.
Now the Cardinals have had a couple of shots right down the line, but fair. Yadi Molina has one, has picked up a couple of runs. That one just fouled, but it was hit very sharply by Ronnie Belliard.
Try it again, 3 and 2.
Pretty good offensive player, I'll tell you that.
He waves at that, and that's a strikeout for Coffey. Number 1 for Coffey. 2 away, and here comes Duncan.
Boy, looking like he was guessing for something else. That's a changeup, maybe a splitter right there. Kind of an odd pitch by Coffey. Did not look like a breaking ball going away from him, but evidently read by Belliard as a fastball coming out of a hand. So that's a thank you swing and miss.
He's done it a few times, just like a BP fastball. Just takes a little bit off, and if you keep it down low, you got a chance for success. Here's Duncan. Success for him tonight. The single in the first made it 1-0. A homer made it 6-0 in the second. Last 2 times up, he struck out looking, struck out swinging. Rodriguez, a one-out double, still sitting at second. And the corner says Larry Young. 2-1.
One thing you can say about Coffey is that he has not lost a lot, even given the fact that he's pitched a whole bunch in the last week. I mean, he's still throwing the ball 93, 94 miles an hour, and when he misses, he's missing down around the ankles.
Good spot to be. 3-1. And we'll go full again, 3-2. Looking at this game as his team trails 10-1, but he's thinking 1, 2, 3 days ahead as well. 3-2, 2 outs. Off the plate, and it'll kick foul off the first base foul line. We'll try it again, 3-2. That's a shot into right, a base hit. They'll hold the runner at third. Friel's throw cut by Hatteberg, and it's first and third with 2 away. But Duncan waits him out, finally gets a base hit, first and third. That's the 13th hit for the Cardinals on this night. And don't forget, you want the complete highlight story of this one, you'll find it on FSN's Final Score tonight. Every highlight, every tremendous, unforgettable moment, every night right here on FSN. The only national show that gives you nothing but wall-to-wall highlights. It's at 11:30 tonight right here on FSN. So first and third. And here comes Albert. Pujols tonight doubled his first time up. That stretched his hitting streak to 7 straight. Knocked in a run, his 90th run of the year. Walked, flied out, and struck out looking.
You go back to the at-bat with Chris Duncan up there, and Duncan fouled off several pitches, but that was really a good at-bat from the standpoint of batter and pitcher. You know, Todd Coffey never really did give in to Duncan. Duncan finally, as you said, George, waited him out and got a ground ball to find a hole in the infield. He stays downstairs. Coffey does. Good life on the fastball. He finds himself ahead 0-2.
Bounce towards short. Clayton will tap the bag, and that'll do it. So after a couple of hits, Coffey keeps him off the board. Now it's time for our Tri-State Chevy dealers' 7th inning stretch.
He will lead off the bottom of the 7th inning, and he'll lead off the inning for the 4th time tonight, but this time against a new Cardinal pitcher. Jeff Weaver, 6 innings of 1-run, 6-hit baseball. Weaver, who came into this ball game struggling mightily, struck out 7 in the first 4 innings and eventually left the ball game here with a comfortable 9-run lead, and Flores in against the Reds now for the 6th time this season.
Well, there comes Ryan Friel, who's walked and singled to lead off the 3rd and 5th. Each time, though, he was left stranded. He lined out his first time up, so officially he's 1 for 2. He's given the Reds their biggest spark of the night, with the exception of the Valentine homer. That was a diving catch in center to rob Jim Edmonds, and then a perfect throw to the plate on a base hit to right. Well, once again, he provides you some energy. Swinging and fouling it off. And here is our John Morrell hot dog play of the night. What a catch, Chris.
You're not kidding about that. A sinking line drive off the bat of Jim Edmonds. You had to get a good jump. You had to lay out to get it. And Ryan Freel is up to both of those tasks and hauls that one in. Now, by Ryan Freel standards, that's a can of corn.
Just a normal catch. When you bounce on the grass, it doesn't hurt as much as bouncing on the dirt or the gravel along the foul lines, which he does on a regular basis. Like the Tasmanian devil, isn't he? He always makes something happen. And the dirt to Freel. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Hey, where else but McCluskey Chevrolet? 0% financing, down payment assistance up to $6,000 and guaranteed credit approval. Call the 1 number today, 761-1111. There's the left-hander Flores. Swing and a miss, and he gets Freel. Orion's punched out. That strikeout number 1 for Flores, one of 2 left-handers. Flores and Tyler Johnson, the 2 left-handers for Tony La Russa. Jorge Sosa, the former Brave, is one of the right-handers in this bullpen. So is the former Red, Josh Hancock. Braden Looper, Adam Wainwright, and the closer, Jason Isringhausen. Here's Dunn, hit by a pitch last time up, 0 for 2, a line drive out and a strikeout. In there for strike 1 and 2. Dunn's had good success against lefties this year. 295 and 11 homers against righties. 236 and 22 homers coming into tonight. Not this time though. Swing and a miss, and Flores gets 2 punch outs here in the 7th.
Part of the key, obviously, of containing the Reds and their high offense or high octane offense, if you consider the home run ball as a major threat, is to control Dunn and Griffey for 2 major home run hitters, and the Cardinals have really been able to do that. 3 strikeouts combined between those 2. Really only 1 base hit between the 2 to brag about, and that was Junior's base hit with 2 outs in the first inning. The one that went deep in the right center field, but he ended up only with a single.
There's a bouncer down to short. Backhand throw. He got him. So Miles scoops it up, throws out Griffey, and the Reds go 1, 2, 3 in the 7th. To the 8th we go. 10-1 St. Louis. Chris.
It is a nice spot, George. It would have been a nice place to watch that first inning tonight.
With your back turned the other way.
Well, with some cold refreshments at hand.
Kind of reminds me of your deck at the Ponderosa out in northern Kentucky.
No tiki bar like there is out here. Kent Mercker right off the disabled list. He had no rehab starts or rehab appearances. He's been on the DL since July the 22nd. He figures at his age he really doesn't need to go down there and prove anything. He's only got a limited number of innings in that elbow of his that was barking enough with inflammation that caused him to go on the DL in the first place. Second time this year he's been sidelined.
Here's Scott Spezio, pinch hitting for the Cardinals for Roland. So Spezio pinch hits here in the 8th with the Cardinals leading 10-1. Spezio, valuable pinch hitter, switch hitter. So Taguchi right behind him. He'll come in for Edmonds. Bounce down to third under the glove of Encarnacion, and it's a base hit from Spezio. Spezio has been one of the most often used pinch hitters. That's his 25th pinch hit at bat and his 4th hit of the season.
He's just got a nice quick swing, Spezio does, and obviously looking fastball from Ken Mercker and gets it right by Edwin Encarnacion. Another he's playing another step to his left, it's a ball that he'll field. Good effort.
So Espizio's on, and here's Taguchi, who will pinch hit for Edmonds. 11th pinch hit at bat for Taguchi. He's 3 for 10 coming in. His numbers overall: valuable bench player who at times has played on a regular basis in left, center, or right. Solid defensive outfielder, facing Merker. The Reds, 4 lefties going into tonight: Real Cormier, Bill Bray, Merker, and of course the closer Eddie Guardado. Here's a liner that's into center, a base hit. So back-to-back base hits for the Cardinals to start the 8th against Merker. Here's our Corona, miles away from ordinary stat of the night. Told you about the Cardinals' losing streaks. They had not one but 2 8-game losing streaks this year. They are the first team in baseball history to have 2 8-game losing streaks and still remain in first place. One came in June, the other came in July. Both came when the Reds were mediocre at the same time too, and that's the way the season has gone, Chris. You know, the Reds really marveled in the fact they won 17 games in April, but the Cardinals won 17 games in April. You would have thought that the Reds could have opened up some big time space. They didn't. And when the Reds have lost, the Cardinals have lost too.
You know what? There's a couple of reasons why you never pick the year in which you're going to compete. Number one, you never know about the health of your own ball club. Number two, you never know about the success of the other teams in your division. I mean, if the Cardinals are having a season like they did in 2005, there's no chance of catching the Central Division champions. But they're not having that kind of season. Not everything is going the way of Tony La Russa this year, and things are still wide open. Even after a loss like this tonight, this is a bad loss if you look at the scoreboard, but it only means 1 game. It's the same as that 1-run loss to Pittsburgh back in April.
Change-up, swing, and a miss by Encarnacion. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
What you have to do looking forward is to not let a big loss like this become a hangover for you for the remaining games in this series. That's a changeup right there, and a good one.
Two on, nobody out. Reds double play depth, middle of the infield. And Juan will step out. Broken bat, bloop. Infield fly rule call by the umpires, but in any event, catch made. First out of the inning. Now Merker can get out of this with a double play. And here's a reminder, more Reds baseball will be coming your way. Game 2 of this series tomorrow. It'll be Eric Milton going for his 8th victory against Jason Marquis. He'll go for his 13th. It's the Reds and the Redbirds tomorrow with Real Reds at 6:30, and the game will follow. There's your matchup for tomorrow. Marquis has had a couple of ugly outings where his ERA has ballooned.
Where he essentially sucked up innings for the ball club.
Exactly.
And it would be akin to Elizardo Ramirez going out there and eventually giving up 10 or 12 runs tonight by pitching 5 or 6 innings just to save the bullpen. So don't be misled by that 5+ earned run average by Jason Marquis. You're a 12-game winner for a reason.
He's pitched well against the Reds throughout his career.
And hit well.
There's Molina to left. There is Dunn. He's got it, and 2 away. So Molina retired, and what a night he's had. He had a 2-run homer and a 2-run double. 4 runs batted in for Yadi Molina. He likes it here at Great American Ballpark. He came in. This is the best ballpark he has performed at in his National League career. He came in tonight at 360 in games at Great American Ballpark, and the 4 runs batted in and the 2 hits tonight have continued that. Here's Miles. 2 walks, 2 bounce out to first, 0 for 2. Chris, we talked about it early when the Reds fell behind early. You wondered how the bullpen would handle it. Well, very clear that Ryan Franklin will not be available tomorrow. And you figure Merker just coming off the disabled list after he goes tonight, even if he goes just 1 inning, you figure he'll get tomorrow night off too. So right away off the top, scratch 2 guys off your list for tomorrow.
You know, and I'm sure that does not go by Eric Milton without him noticing that, realizing that the veteran that he is, he needs to go deep into the ball game. I mean, you can handle the back end of the bullpen if you're Jerry Narron and only have to cover, say, 3 innings. So Milton really has to give this ball club a good 6 tomorrow.
Good job by Merker coming back. He gets the final 3 batters he faces in the 8th. Reds trail at 10-1. Bottom of 8 we go. Here comes Edwin. Time for our Chrysler game summary. Not the way that Jerry Narron had drawn it up at the start of this 4-game series. We go to the bottom of 8. 10 runs, 15 hits for the Cardinals, who got 5 in the first off Elizardo Ramirez. A run, 6 hits for the Reds. The only bright spot for Cincinnati, the home run by Javier Valentin. Everybody's contributed for the Redbirds. Molina the biggest, 2 for 5 and 4 runs batted in. That's your Chrysler game summary. Changes for the Redbirds. Those who pinch hit stayed in the game. Scott Spezio, who pinch hit for Roland, stays in at third. So Taguchi in center field for Edmonds, and the new pitcher is the former Red Josh Hancock. 45th game for Hancock, 3-2, a very respectable 3.57 earned run average, 58 innings pitched and 43 hits allowed. Pretty good numbers for Hancock, who's become very reliable in this bullpen. Hancock, you remember, came to spring training with the Reds. They were unhappy that he came in overweight, so they let him go, went home, nobody else called, and we thought there were maybe 2 or 3 or 4 teams involved, and when we saw him at the end of spring training, we said, why St. Louis? He said, simply, they're the only ones that called. And he's been very valuable for Dave Duncan in this bullpen. That's a bouncer down to third. Spezio has it in the dirt, and it pulls Pujols off the bag, so it'll be an error on Spezio. Well, you know, you come into the game, the baseball will find you, and for Spezio, that's only his 2nd error of the season, and the Reds get a base runner, Edwin Encarnacion.
I think that's why you hustle everything out, because you just really never know. And Edwin Encarnacion always hustles. Fielded cleanly, just fired across the infield wildly. And the Reds reached their first base runner here in the bottom of the 8th. You know, that was an effort by Albert Pujols where he's trying to, nearly did, catch the ball and keep his foot on the bag. A really remarkable and athletic play by him to make it a lot closer, because there are some first basemen that would simply have not tried to do that at all. They would have just simply come off the bag to make sure the ball didn't go into the stands.
So the Reds get a runner on the area. Here's Hatteberg. Flied out, walked, and bounced out. 0 for 2. Brandon Phillips due to follow. That's a strike. 2 balls and 1 strike.
You know, George, you talk about Josh Hancock being picked up by the Cardinals after the Reds cut him loose for essentially being overweight in spring training. And you look back and see what he's done against the Cardinals. And sometimes what you did against that team is probably the most important thing. And he's pitched very well over his career. 2-0 and with a 2.0 earned run average. In 6 different games and a couple of different starts. In fact, he pitched a couple very good games for the Reds as a starter in St. Louis. And those kind of performances don't certainly get lost on Tony La Russa and Dave Duncan. They say, you know what, this guy's got a little something, and we'll take him.
Full count to Hatteberg. That's a liner into center. Base hit. 2 on for the Reds. Nobody out here in the 8th. Our Elk and Elk storyline update for tonight. When this night started, Tony La Russa had a question mark. How would Jeff Weaver perform? Weaver, 3.76 opponent's batting average since joining the Cardinals. He's been knocked around. Well, tonight he was great. 6 hits allowed, 6 innings, 1 run, 7 punch-outs, and he exited the game with a big lead. And the Cardinals still enjoy a 10-1 lead over the Reds. That's your Elk and Elk storyline update. Here's Brandon Phillips, 0 for 3 tonight. After the big 2 home run game this weekend, the Reds would love to see a big swing here to pull them a little closer. Molina rolls through his signs for the 3rd time and a 4th time. Phillips tonight grounded to second, flied to right, and then lined to right.
And for the most part, Brandon Phillips tonight, despite his heroics over the weekend, has had a hard time negotiating the right-handed breaking ball. Jeff Weaver really had him looking bad earlier in the ball game, and that check swing right there tells you he's just not quite picking it up. And it's been a mystery since the beginning of baseball how guys sometimes see it as big as a beach ball, and other times it comes in there like an aspirin tablet.
Another one fouled off, and it's 1-2. And sometime, and we've always talked about it, Chris, the breaking ball is the great equalizer. First the pitchers want to find out, can you hit a fastball? If you do that, then you start throwing the breaking ball, and add to that the fact that everybody's motion is different. Some people will say, I just can't pick up the ball against this pitcher or that pitcher, and it might not be the quality of the breaking ball, but the motion, the delivery, the release point.
Or it could be that against a certain pitcher, he just happens to make good pitches against you.
High in the air down the right field line. That'll be out of play in the seats.
I always remember a very interesting comment about Josh Hancock made by now his first baseman, Albert Pujols. It said, they studied and studied and studied tape on Josh Hancock, trying to figure out why he was so successful against the Cardinals, and they came to the determination he's got a late little cut on his ball, which is unusual for a right-hander. It actually goes away from a right-handed hitter.
Nub the other way. They'll get one at second, on to first. Yup, a twin killer. Well, it looks like a promising inning for the Reds. A 4-6-3 double play diffuses it. 2 away. And here comes Javier Valentin. Not much to cheer about for the Reds offense, but our Coors Light cold blast comes from Valentin back in the 2nd.
Yeah, it was a solo home run, and he got a whole bunch of it on a breaking pitch by Jeff Weaver. He launched it. When you're up by, at that time, 7 runs, giving up a solo shot is really a rally killer. So that was really about all the offense the Reds were able to muster against the Cardinals right-hander tonight. Valentin's hit the ball hard again down the right field line.
Loop to center. Here comes Taguchi. He'll get it. So 2 pitches after the error and the base hit, and the inning ends for Hancock. Going to the 9th, Cards lead at 10-1.
David Weathers will come in. He'll be the last pitcher of the night unless the Reds can tie this baby up. 49 games for David Weathers, 4-3 record with a 4.3 earned run average, 52 innings. So again, he has been a workhorse, and he's been a workhorse in his career against the St. Louis Cardinals. This is his 43rd game lifetime against the Cardinals. And
Hancock will hit. He's 0 for 4 on the year. So Hancock will get a chance to swing the bat as we go to the top of 9. Weathers. Overall numbers, that 4-3 record, and the ERA just a little over 4. He's been about a hitting and inning pitch guy throughout his career, and that's what he is this year. 52 innings pitched, 51 hits, 27 walks, more than normal for him. That breaking ball down and away, 1 ball, 1 strike.
You know what really got David Weathers kind of out of character, so to say, was to putting him in the closer's role. Not that he was incapable of doing it, because he had a good run early on when he was a closer. He closed the first, I think, 6 or so in a row that he was put into that situation. But you kind of mix the bullpen up trying to make something out of nothing out there, and he kind of got out of wax a little bit. I think he's a lot more comfortable as a setup guy used in the 7th or the 8th inning.
And here we are again. We're in August, and the Reds are really trying to formulate their bullpen again. The deals that Wayne Krivsky has made to refurbish the bullpen, that's part of the story. The other part is there's a swing and a miss. Hancock's retired. Everybody's got to find their new role again now with all the changes that have been made. Well, if you just joined it, it's 10-1 Redbirds thanks to a big first inning. Chris Duncan singled in a run. Albert Pujols doubled in a run. Stretched his hitting streak to 7 straight. That made it 2-0. Scott Rowland's double made it 3-0. And then the capper, Yadi Molina, his 4th homer of the year, made it 5-0. The Cardinals were off and running, and they now lead at 10-1. Here's Belliard, who started it. This time he bounces one down to second. Phillips has it. Belliard's retired, second out of the inning, and here comes Chris Duncan. There's certain guys, Chris, that over the course of a year really help keep a bullpen together, and that guy right there is one of them. Scott, you know, the Reds had Scott Sullivan for so many years, a guy that will pitch short, pitch long, come in when you're ahead, come in when you're tied, come in when you're behind, and Weathers is one of those guys. You
know, and he's also a leader, George. I know you throw that term around a lot, and team chemistry, you know, you use rather loosely, and sometimes it's overused. But I mean, he leads by example. I mean, he really does. And it's good to have some veteran presence down the bullpen, or else you've got some young guys down there that when that phone rings, boy, their eyes become deer in headlights. And you got to have a guy like Weathers and Merker down there just to kind of lend a little.
Fiber, presence.
Yeah, some presence and some relaxation down there. That, you know, that you're a lot better when you can play relaxed and having fun. When, you know, if you're down there worried all the time, worried about your jobs and so on. And this bullpen, you should have been worried about your job, obviously, because if you broke camp in April with the Reds in the bullpen, chances are, unless you're David Weathers or Todd Coffey or Ken Merker, you're elsewhere right now.
Duncan asked for time. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Weathers had a rough stretch right about the All-Star break. Since then, last 16 appearances, his ERA has been right about at 2. Full count, 3 balls, 2 strikes to Duncan.
Pretty good eye at the plate. Don't see Chris Duncan chasing too many bad pitches.
You know, when you look around the league, after you play somebody 3-4 times, when you add up last year and this year, this kid just an underrated offensive player. He gives you a good at bat almost every time. Got a little power and appears to have an idea of what he's doing up there. And he works a walk. 2 away, a walk, and you know what that means. It brings Albert back. There's his dad, Dave Duncan. You know, we talked to, it's kind of different. We talked to Hal McRae, the hitting instructor here for the St. Louis Cardinals. Well, of course, his son Brian McRae was a major leaguer too, and
a good one.
Yeah, a darn good one. And you wonder, is it, or you talk to Buddy Bell talking about one of his sons, or you talk to Ken Griffey Sr. about his son. It's a little different when you're managing your son or when you're coaching your son, isn't it?
Some tend to be a little. I mean, it's even different when it's on the amateur level. I mean, you try to make it as professional as you can by the time they make the major leagues, but you still have that bond that just can't be cut. Sometimes those dads who are coaches are a lot harder on their own children than they are on others.
Well, here's Albert. Today, doubled his first time up to make it 2-0. Since then, he walked, flied out, struck out, bounced out.
Seemed to me that when the Reds are taking care of Albert tonight, they mostly got him on fastballs. He hit a fastball off Ramirez first pitch in the first inning. They flew out on a 2-0 fastball, struck out looking on a Ryan Franklin fastball in the fifth. And Coffey got him on a heater.
That's a shot and a fair ball, a rocket into the corner. Here comes Duncan around third. They're going to send him. No throw to the plate, and Albert Pujols has picked up his second run batted into the night, 91 on the year. And sooner or later, Prince Albert gets you. Number 5 delivers, and it's 11-1.
One too many fastballs.
Sometimes a pitcher sets up a hitter, sometimes a hitter sets up a pitcher.
Well, you see where it was. I mean, it was just about belt high, and David Weathers will be the first one to tell you he was hoping that they'd show the replay on the in-house scoreboard here at the stadium to see exactly where that pitch was, but you can look at it after the game and realize that those waist-high sinkers don't sink too much. And Albert punishes it.
He hits it, it just sounds different, doesn't it? Here's Taguchi to right, going way back. Friel at the wall. It's gone. 3 rows deep. And the Cardinals play add-on here in the 9th inning. A double by Pujols, plates 1 to make it 11-1. And a 2-run homer by Spezio makes it 13-1. So Spezio delivers. He came in for Rolen. His homer makes it 13-1.
Well, maybe they'll just get their arms tired by swinging the bat so much tonight. The only thing you can hope for in the first game of a 4-game series while you are getting absolutely taken out behind the woodshed and whooped up on.
And here's Taguchi. So everybody's contributing. Off the bench, Spezio homers. And the Cardinals now have 17 hits on the night. 13 runs, 17 hits. The Reds 7 hits in a run. Taguchi sends it high in the air down the left field line. Dunn under it, got it, but the damage done. 6 to the plate in the 9th. Spezio's homer makes it 13-1. Bottom of 9 we go. Touchdown, the second touchdown, and both extra points. And we need the Continental League. That is a pretty good idea if you're behind. Here's Clayton, 1 for 3, a single. Royce fouls it off. For those of you that aren't familiar, there's a new league that's supposed to start next year, the Continental League, where if you're trailing late in the game, you can double the value of a home run. A night like this, that'd come in handy.
You have to call it before you hit it?
No, it's automatic. That's a bouncer into center. Royce Clayton has his second hit. Well, back to work tomorrow for the Reds. They trail it here 13-1, barring a miraculous comeback. They'll fall 4.5 games back of St. Louis. With 3 left in this series and 3 more next week in St. Louis. Here's Dino. Kristen Orfia in for Griffey. Last inning in center field. He's up for the first time, hitting in the 9th spot in the order. As a pinch hitter, 4 for 8 since coming back from AAA. That fastball misses inside. 2-0. Center field sinking. Here comes Taguchi. Nice play. Great first step by So Taguchi. Takes a hit away from D'Onofrio. There's your first out of the 9th.
Yeah, hit solidly by Chris D'Onofrio. Taguchi playing shallow, and that's something that Cardinal center fielders do quite often and very well. He comes in on the ball very well right there. A good defensive player. So Taguchi makes a nice grab.
And here's Friel. Ryan tonight lined out, walked, singled, and struck out last time up. The two bright spots for the Reds on this night: the home run by Javier Valentin in the 2nd, his 3rd of the year. Got the Reds on the board finally. 2 brilliant defensive plays by Friel. One, a diving catch of a line drive off the bat of Jim Edmonds. That was in the 4th inning, and then a perfect throw by Friel to the plate to nab a runner trying to score. Spezio, quick flip to first. 2nd out of the inning. Two away. Here comes Adam Dunn and Jerry Narron. When this night started, he had visions of maybe a 2.5 game deficit and a Reds victory. That look riveted on the scoreboard, which shows the Cardinals leading at 13-1. Good news about baseball, Chris. You don't wait 7 days like you do in football. You're back at it tomorrow.
You're right. And the other good news is that the slate is completely clean at 7:10 tomorrow night when these two teams lock up again.
Dunn tonight hit by a pitch and 0 for 3, including 2 strikeouts. Missing 1 and 2. Hancock came in the 8th. Gave up a base hit, and Encarnacion reached on an error, but he got out of it with a double play and a fly ball out. He's given up a 2nd hit here in the 9th. Broken bat, bloop. That'll do it. Miles will glove it, and the Cardinals have put a notch in their belt for game 1 of this 4-game set. 13 runs, 17 hits, and an error for the Reds. 1-8-2. Tony La Russa gets the victory, and the Cardinals have opened up a 4.5 game lead over Cincinnati. Not the way the Reds wanted to start this series, Chris.
Certainly not, George, especially that first inning. You give up a 5 spot in the first, and it takes the energy out of the club. It takes the energy out of the crowd. And from then on, it was just a good old-fashioned Cardinal behind whooping of the Reds, and they'll go at it again tomorrow.
What a night for the Molina family. Here, Yadi Molina gets a 2-run homer and a 2-run double. His brother Jose Molina also had a homer tonight, too, for the Angels. Cardinals win at 13-1. Back with more after this. $34,262 in Cincinnati. 2 hours 56 minutes worth of baseball. End result: Cardinals win game 1 of this 4-game set. Chris,
I'll tell you what, they really jumped all over the Reds early on. It did not appear as though Elizardo Ramirez had good stuff, or really had a whole lot going for him mentally. He looked like he was pitching scared out there, and the Cardinals smelled it, jumped all over him big time. 7 runs in the first 2 innings, George. That's a deep hole to try to dig out of.
Jerry Narron back to the drawing board. The Reds and the Redbirds will do it again tomorrow. Coming up next, JD coming by with Gold Star Chili Red Trap. See you at the ballpark, everybody.